Today I just got back an email from Senator Hawley about the Kids Online Safety Act. I had messaged him prior about my concerns with it, and he had responded back, and I wanted to make a video sort of documenting the response that I gave back to him because I believe that the response is applicable to a wider audience than just whoever is sitting in the office reading the messages that get sent to him, assuming he doesn't. So to start with, I'll give a quick rundown of the actual issue that I have with the bill, starting with Part B of Section 11. Section 11 on how the bill would actually be enforced. Section B is enforcement by state attorneys general. And under the in general section, civil actions, A. In any case in which the Attorney General of a state has reason to believe that an interest of the residents of that state has been or is threatened or adversely affected by the engagement of any person in a practice that violates this act or regulation promulgated under this act, the state, as parens patriae, however you say it, whatever, may bring a civil action on behalf of the residents of the state in a district court of the United States or a state court of appropriate jurisdiction to 1. Enjoin that practice, 2. Enforce compliance with this act or such regulation, 3. On behalf of residents of the state, obtain damages, restitution, or other compensation, each of which shall be distributed in accordance with the state law, or obtain such other relief as the court may consider to be appropriate. This section of this bill, if it passes, would allow attorney generals in any state to essentially sue online providers for anything. I mean, really, it as it states, all that needs to happen is that the Attorney General of a state needs to have reason to believe that an interest of the residents of that state has been or is, so previously or up till now, threatened or even adversely affected by the engagement of any person in a practice that violates this act. The amount of vagueness here is unbelievable. And it is very clear by who is supporting this bill that the intention of the bill is to target smaller groups of people who are going to be susceptible to this sort of civil action. There is going to be a precedent set where there's going to be an extremely tough, expensive legal battle fought by some company somewhere against an attorney general, against the state. And this will create a situation where services are not allowed to put anything on their sites that would risk having one of these attorneys general bring a suit against them. I'd like to go ahead and read out the email I was given by Senator Hawley. Thank you for contacting me about S.1409, the Kids Online Safety Act. I appreciate the time and effort you took to share your perspective with me on this important issue and welcome the opportunity to respond. As you may know, on May 2nd, 2023, Senator Richard Blumenthal introduced the Kids Online Safety Act, which was referred to the Committee on Commerce, Science, and Transportation. This legislation requires social media platforms to do more to protect children, including by giving parents the power to control privacy and account settings and access any data collected about their children. Although I am not a member of the Committee on Commerce, Science, and Transportation, I will keep your thoughts in mind should this or any related legislation come up for debate or a vote in the Senate. As your senator, I have made it a priority to protect children from the harms created by big tech companies. Throughout my time in the Senate, I have introduced several pieces of legislation in this vein. Most recently, on February 28, 2023, I introduced S564, the Parental Data Rights Act, legislation that gives parents greater control over their children's information while also penalizing companies that fail to comply. Big tech companies exercise unprecedented power over the lives of Americans, including children, and I will never stop working to rein in their abuses. And then he goes on to talk about how he appreciates my voice, yada, yada, yada. This is what I sent to him, and this is what that was what he responded with. Here's what I sent to him. The proposed Kids Online Safety Act raises significant concerns about potential misuse. The bill's ambiguous language could empower state attorneys general to target content that they subjectively deem harmful, potentially leading to the unjust removal of discussions about diverse identities or experiences. This could inadvertently harm marginalized communities, including those identifying as queer or trans. The bill's duty of care standard and potential age verification measures could also lead to widespread censorship. It is crucial to ensure that any legislation aimed at protecting minors online does not inadvertently suppress freedom of expression or harm marginalized communities. Therefore, a reconsideration of the bill's language and provisions is requested to prevent potential misuse and unintended consequences. I gave a very clear message as to what my concerns were with it. I was very clear in the fact that the bill's ambiguous language could empower state attorneys general to target content they subjectively deem harmful, and that could lead to the unjust removal of discussions about diverse identities and experiences and marginalized communities, especially the LGBTQ community. This is not a difficult thing to answer, but the response that was given, utterly unsatisfactory. He talks about giving parents power to control privacy in account settings and access data collected about their children. How in what world is this some sort of argument against what I have stated? It's simply not. It simply is not. I'm going to go ahead and simply read out word for word what I emailed back to him, and I'm going to end the video there because I really have nothing else to say outside of this. Senator, you did not address my issue with S1409 at all. I read the exact part of the bill in the email that I have issues with. This clause gives state attorney generals the ability to sue companies for almost any reason. What happens when an attorney general wrongfully determines that a violation of this act has taken place on a service that provides information for minority communities, such as LGBTQIA+ individuals or racial minorities? These services will be made the wrongful target of an endlessly expensive legal battle, and it will become nearly impossible to run their business. Senator Hawley, I hope you truly understand what I am saying this time. If you would rather waste my time with nonsense about fighting big tech, then do not respond. You are using that as a guise. Your goal appears clear to me, and that is to stomp out the already unheard voices of the people who truly need a platform. Let's take the bill that you talked to me about in your email, the Parental Data Rights Act. Essentially, this bill gives parents the ability to, it forces websites to collect contact information for parental guardians of minors when they sign up for websites, and it requires them to notify that guardian when a child or a minor has created an account on these sites. And it also allows them to monitor the time that they spend on these sites, and I believe it allows them to monitor certain levels of activity on the site as well. So, as it turns out, this bill that he suggested to me as evidence of his helping protect kids is actually so much worse than I thought it was when I first recorded it, because I didn't really properly read through it. Because let's be real, who wants to listen to fucking Senator Hawley talk about legalese? Whatever. I'm going to read it out. I'm going to read out this very specific part that talks about what social media companies under this bill would actually be liable to do. So here it is. Section C, liability. A social media company shall be liable in accordance with this section to 1. Any individual who requests and is denied access to all data regarding the use by a minor child in the custody of the individual of the covered interactive computer service, so the entire social media site, by the social media company, and 2, any individual who requests and is denied the ability to delete an account maintained with the social media company by a minor child in the custody of the individual, and B, all data associated with the account described in subparagraph A. This bill would give parents the right to go to a social media site and tell them, hey, literally every single bit of information that you have on my child, I want to see all of it. I want to take their account and delete it, and I want to delete all the data associated with that account, like, entirely. It's absurd. Imagine that you're like a 17-year-old fucking kid, and you literally can have your Facebook account, your Twitter account, any website that your parents, which, by the way, under this, they would have to know what sites you're signed up for, because when you sign up for the sites, they would have to gather information on you and your parental guardian, so that they have to tell your parental guardian what sites you're signing up for. So this is any site, not just basic social media. But regardless, once they know that you have the account, they can then go in, monitor the account, and delete it at any time that they see fit. It's insane. I cannot believe that he cited this bill as him protecting kids. Anyway, I just had to put this in there. So, suppose a situation like this, which is not an uncommon situation in America at all. A minor who identifies as transgender in a household of parents who hold strong Christian beliefs, specifically anti-transgender beliefs. This is obviously not an unfathomable scenario. This minor would like to learn more about gender-affirming care for when they come of age. What happens when this minor is required to sign up for this website and their parents are made aware that they have done so? This minor could have their access to the internet revoked entirely. They could be forced into unwanted therapy to attempt to treat their chosen identity. They could even be physically beaten by their parents. This is not protecting children. It will only allow the further squashing of any potential for minors to express themselves outside of the belief of their parents. I find it hard to believe that you, Senator Hawley, will hear this. Well, he's not going to see this, obviously. Regardless, I find it hard to believe that you will read this and sympathize with the minor in this situation. Your views on Palestine have made it clear that you do not care for minors as a group of people, but simply American Christian parents as a voting bloc. You'd rather sit here and defend bills that worsen the lives of minors in your own country, while Israel ends the lives of children in Palestine wholesale. I hope you address the points that I've made here, Senator Hawley. Perhaps I was not clear about my concerns in my first email that I sent to you, and I apologize for that, and I hope it does not happen a second time. I hope I was very clear about my stance on this position, and if you are going to take the time to respond to me this time, please actually address what I have said instead of giving me nonsense about protecting kids. Thank you.